Hey guys, Rohan Sheth here, and over the last 9 years, I've tirelessly worked and put in the effort to build a company, a brand, and a personal brand in the marketing and digital marketing space. Now, over these years, it's not looked as good as it does today. It started in my mom's basement to today being fortunate enough to travel the world and share this knowledge that I have. Now, for those of you that are sitting there at the end of this video, what I want to do is I want to give you practical, implementable steps you can take and implement into your business right off the bat. I've been fortunate enough to go from working and starting this entire thing by myself, lost confused in my mom's basement, to today running a multi-7-figure digital marketing agency. What I want to do is I want to jump right into it with you right now and share with you the practical steps that you can use in your digital marketing business. So let's get right into it. So early on when I found digital marketing and I saw it was something that I wanted to get into, was the reason being is I came from a direct sales background. Now, direct sales, direct response go kind of hand in hand. Now, before we get into me explaining why I think digital marketing and direct response marketing is one of the best industries for you to invest your time in, I want to kind of take you on a little journey. Right after high school, I wanted to be a commercial airline pilot, dropped out of college and realized that, flying was a passion, it wasn't a purpose, it wasn't a career that I wanted to get into. I started doing door-to-door sales, I got into in-home selling, and I got really, really good at it. And I got good at the art of selling one-to-one. Now, at that point in time, I hit a kind of wall in my career in my early 20s and realized that I kind of got bored. And I started to look at what was new, what was going on, and I found this thing called digital marketing. And digital marketing there's so many different facets, and the one thing that attracted me the most was affiliate marketing. So I started to learn affiliate marketing and kind of get my feet wet. Now, as you heard earlier in this video, I have not pursued down the affiliate marketing route, but built a digital direct response agency. So some of my early stages and the struggles that I kind of went through in this entire career was I came from something where, companies were knocking on my door for me to come work for them, and I wanted to leave that to come to learn something new. And as most of you are probably sitting there watching this video right now, you're probably thinking to yourself, well, I've got something stable, why should I leave this to go and do something brand new? And the one thing that I can tell you, some of the things that I learned and the mistakes that you shouldn't make is when you are considering this industry, it's a phenomenal industry. It's a life-changing industry. I've seen not only my life completely turn around, I've seen hundreds of people, and some of my close friends have built a phenomenal lifestyle. Well, it all didn't start there for them. One of my best friends started working at a coffee shop who was working $6 an hour. Today he runs a company that does over $20 million. A lot of our challenges is exactly what it went to. So when I got started, I didn't know where to go. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know who to talk to or how to start. I just kind of started reading blogs online, started reading articles online, started to find courses that I could invest in. Now, one of the early things that I did that was right, but also I wish I did a little bit more, was kind of finding people that actually have done something solid. And I bought courses from people that kind of claimed to be people that have built a digital marketing career or built a digital marketing affiliate marketing business at that point in time, and kind of just burned a lot of money. Now, if I were to go back, would I do that again? Yes. The one thing that I would change would be that I would be changing the type of people that I would be learning from right off the bat and the money that I would be spending. So do I suggest you go out and buy courses from people that do it? 100%. Because the people that are actually out there sharing the knowledge, do a little bit of groundwork, do a little bit of research in what you're doing, and then buy courses from them, become a mentor to or mentee to them from a distance, so that one day they can be a mentor to you one-on-one. Now that's part one. Part two of it is I would invest a lot more time in going to events. I started to do that a little bit later on in my career in digital marketing, just because I started to I originally thought that I could learn everything from a course and kind of implementing it and kind of doing things that I wanted to, but what put a legitimate trajectory into my career was me going to events. Now, given the current economic standpoint that we're sitting in, events are a little bit more difficult to attend, but when things do go back to normal, that is one thing that I would suggest getting yourself into. And going to, whether it's traffic related events or funnel related events or conversions, it doesn't really matter. Find someone that is running an event, that has got a backing in what they're doing, and go invest yourself into that, because that was one of the biggest mistakes that I made early on, was waiting too late to get to events, to build relationships with people that were willing to either coach me or train me or mentor me, and today I've got them as lifelong friends. Number 3 mistake that I made was not going all in right off the bat. Now, one thing if I wish I did back then was I spent a lot of time learning and not enough time doing. Whereas I wish that I did a lot more doing and just as much learning at the same time. So instead of, if you're going to learn something, go and implement it right away. Don't try and continually learn, because what that ends up doing to you is you just kind of get into analysis of paralysis, and you're just always learning and thinking there's something else that you need to learn. Since then, one of the things that I implement in my day-to-day life today is a theory that I like to call invest, learn, and teach. So I like to invest in myself, learn it, do it, and then I like to teach it, because that is the quickest way for me to gain the knowledge, use the knowledge, and actually share the knowledge with my audience. So now let's talk about me jumping from going into affiliate marketing and getting into the direct response agency. Early on in the days, it was just me and my computer and building funnels, running traffic, running affiliate offers, and I kind of got to a point where I got really bored. As you guys remember from early on in the video, I used to do direct response selling, and direct response selling was a lot of people interaction, and this was kind of a zero-sum game where it was just me and my computer, where there wasn't really a lot of interaction, and I really craved and wanted to go back to that. So I decided, what's the next best thing? Throughout the process of me building my digital marketing business, I started having friends and family asking me for help. And whether it was running their Google search or setting up their Facebook pages or social media, whatever they wanted to do at that time, I started to notice a trend. And that trend was there's a lot of businesses out there that were looking for my help. And I thought to myself, if I can charge a decent amount of money to do this work that I'm already giving and sharing free advice on, I can build myself a legitimate business. Now, at that point in time, I was young, naive, and didn't really know that there was a term called an agency, and today that's what we've built. So what I ended up doing was I decided that I was going to let go of the affiliate marketing career and start focusing and taking all of that knowledge that I learned there and implement it into building what is today GrowRev.com. And when I first started, I just didn't know what I was going to do and how I was going to get my first client. Well, unbeknownst to me, I knew one thing: I could go door knocking, because that's kind of where I went to that's kind of when I went back to my original background, and I said, well, if I could go door knocking on residential doors, I could do the exact same thing and start doing that in, split malls and complexes and businesses where businesses potentially could do. And that's how I got my very first client. Landed a spa that I started to work with, and I was managing all of their social medias and charging them around $500 to $750 a month. And it was a lot of work at the time, but I just didn't know how to charge. And that was kind of one of the learning lessons where I started to realize that, you got to go through these mistakes, or you got to learn from someone to kind of expedite those mistakes for you. Fast forward from there, I realized that I couldn't do all of their social media for $500 to $750 a month and posting daily. It just got to a point where I literally wanted to ram my head through a window. But from that being said, what ended up happening was I learned my mistakes and I implemented it immediately into the next client. Fast forward to that, the next client that I started to work with was a doctor who actually focused on stress and stress relief, and I charged him $2,000 a month just to build out funnels and manage his Facebook advertising. That transitioned into getting some amazing results for what he was launching in his products that he wanted to share with people, and one thing led to another, and we started to build the company. Fast forward to that, I started to, I can't go door knocking all the time. I need to kind of build the company because I'm still a one-man show. I was selling the client, I was fulfilling on the client, and I was delivering the results, except like everything from front to back was just me. I started to realize that I needed to kind of diversify my time and kind of delegate things that made more sense. Now, at this point in time, I'd already built the company to around $20,000 to $25,000 a month, and I was consistently growing month over month. And I knew I had about 90 days or so before I had to bring somebody on, A, whether it was to run traffic, or B, to start going out and getting sales. Now, I knew I enjoyed the selling part, so I knew that my number one focus was going to be for me to focus on getting someone to take over the traffic division. Started to kind of reach out to people and kind of friends, and realized that I found someone within my network who is a business partner that I have today, and we decided to partner together. And literally the partnership happened to a point where I said, hey, I don't want any money from you. I'm just going to give you 50% of my company. All you got to do is run traffic, because your background comes from running traffic. So one of the big things that I learned to this entire period till I brought on a partner was we are in our day-to-day every single day trying to run this company. Now, it got to a point where I was working long days, crazy hours, and I missed out and didn't implement the one thing that I have today is you got to automate or delegate. And if you do not do those two things, you are literally going to want to run yourself through a glass window. Believe me. And what I mean by that is once you get to a point where you're selling a client, you're building out the funnels, you're trying to communicate with the client, and then you're also trying to fulfill on it and make sure that they're happy, that's a lot of moving pieces for one human being to manage. Now, back when I first got started, there wasn't as many automations and tools that are available to you today if you're wanting to get into digital marketing or even wanting to get into building a direct response agency. Now, if that's the case, find the tools, find the things that you are really, really good at and focus on that all day long. Now, one of the big mistakes that I see people that are starting off in the agency route doing is they sell a client or two or three, they go and fulfill on it, and then they realize that, okay, now I gotta go sell another client, but that doesn't happen till about 60 days after because they're fulfilling on. The one thing that I would probably tell you to do is figure out a way to automate inbound leads, and we can talk about this in another video on how I do that today. So you focus on automating your inbound leads so that you're continually focused on building your company. That was the biggest mistake that I made because I would literally sell a client or two, then go fulfill on it, then come back and realize, oh shit, I gotta go do this all over again. That's kind of what I would do. Now, as you guys heard earlier in the video, one of my very first clients, I was charging around somewhere between $500 and $750 a month, and I was doing a lot. Now, when you get to a point when you're working for clients and you're taking on a lot, clients have a certain level of expectations. Some clients just don't understand what it takes to build out a social media audience or a social media platform so they can implement into their business. Now, the client that I had at the time, their expectations were on planet Mars. And I had to learn that the really, really hard way because every single day I would wake up to 7 or 8 different text messages, multiple different emails, like why is this not done? Why is that not done? And it was constantly fighting up an uphill battle. And it got to the point where I had to let them go because I just knew that I was never going to get them to understand what it took and the amount of time and effort it took to build that audience, to build the content that goes behind it. Now, if there's one thing that I can tell you right off the bat right now is as soon as you sell your first client and you go into delivery, make sure that your expectations and your client's expectations align so that you can do the job that you're being paid to do. Also remember one thing, and this is something that I did not pay attention to early on, was that if someone's hiring you to do something, they're hiring you because they see an expertise in you that they don't have in themselves. So make sure that they have that respect for that expertise within you so that you can deliver the type of professionalism that you can deliver back to them. If someone's gonna talk down to you, that is not a client that you wanna be working with. And to date, that is the number one thing that we have inside of our company. If someone comes to hire us, they're hiring us for our expertise and not telling us what to do. And if it gets to the point, I will have a very honest conversation with a lot of my clients. And fortunately enough, in today's day and age, because of the way we built these KPIs and expectations with our clients, we rarely run into this because I learned it from a hard way at it early on. So fast forward about 90 days, I knew I needed to get somebody on, and I found a friend through my network that I'd known for a very, very long time that I could partner with. And I said, hey, I've got this company, you're good at running traffic, I'm good at selling, and I really want to just focus on that, and I know you just want to focus on traffic, let's just partner together. Now, what I literally did that most people like without listening to other people's advice, I just gave him 50% of the company. And I said, as long as you fulfill on the traffic side, I will fulfill on the others. Fast forward to today, still partner with the guy in the company, and we've built GrowRev together. That has transpired into working with, like I said earlier on in the video, with some of the biggest industry leaders in our industry, some of the biggest industry leaders in different and tycoons in different industries that we will share with you throughout this entire process. So since then, what has changed was it was an early 6-figure company. We are now a multi 7-figure company on pace to do 8 by some early next year. And at that given time, this has been one of the biggest things. Now, earlier on in the days of myself partnering in this company, it was just him and I, and we just started to kind of delegate. We started to build a virtual team. Eventually got to a point where we realized this thing was growing at a pretty decent rate, that virtual was not going to happen. We started to hire in-house, and there's pros and cons to both, whether you want to build an agency that has completely virtual so you can travel, build a laptop lifestyle, or you want to build an in-house agency, have a lot more time, contractors, employees that you can work with in person, and scale a real business. We chose to go down that route, and today this is what we have built. One of the reasons you want to do that, and one of the reasons we chose to do that, is because, like I said earlier on in the video, is you want to do one of two things. There's also a third one that I'm going to throw in here right now, is you need to automate. So find tools and software so you can automate things. You want to delegate. So if I'm good at selling and Matt's good at fulfilling on traffic, there's still a lot of moving pieces at at a bigger rate that needs to get done. So you need to be able to delegate that. Or number three, you just need to realize and understand that you just probably don't need to do it and just delete it. Those are the three things that I focus on all the time. Part of building a team is it's made delegation a lot easier because we've got account managers, we've got media buyers, we've got operations people, we've got content people, and they all know their specific roles so that all of us can combine together and take one client and make them successful, and then times that by 40, 50, 60 clients, depending on how many clients you choose to bring on into your business. Now, both sides, like I said, have got pros and cons. One of the reasons I decided to partner versus just building it out on my own in the earlier stages was I knew that I needed to focus on the skill set and building a legitimate company. And it goes back to the cliche term of you can go farther together or you can go fast on yourself. I can't remember the exact terminology, but you understand that. It's a lot easier to go and you can kind of ping pong back and forth with a partner versus just trying to bang your head against a wall and trying to get things moving all on your own. Same things when it comes down to building a team. There's been drawbacks and benefits of building a team. A lot of them are great. A lot of the camaraderie that we have within our company today is phenomenal, and I wouldn't trade it for the world, but it also comes back with now you got to learn how to handle and deal with different personality types, different parts of the world, because we've got teams all over, not just in Canada, but in the United Kingdom, the United States, as well as Australia, and a decent team building in the Philippines. So there's a lot of things that you have to learn at a very, very early stage, and unfortunately, thank God I was able to do it with a partner, and now here we are today. So as most of you have probably seen, there's been highs and lows of companies, and that is kind of what happened to us. And we took over the company, we scaled the company, we built the company, we started building a team, and it started to scale extremely well. Our name started to get out there really, really well, and we just kind of got focused on one thing and not kind of being good at all parts of the company. Fast forward, there was a point around 2.5, almost 3 years ago now, where in about 30 to 45 days, we literally almost put the company into an absolute tailspin. And what I mean by that was we were doing extremely well, multi-six-figure, or it was actually 7-figure company, and it went back to an earnings of what I was making less than when I gave back to my partner and myself. Now, those are a lot of mistakes that we've had to learn. We saw the mistakes that we made. It was a responsibility that I had to take on as the co-founder of the company. There was a lot of mistakes that the other co-founder of the company had to take on as well, and then we ended up fixing it. Now, fortunately enough, one of the things that I said to you earlier on in this video was go to an event, because an event can change your life. Now, we were literally, I'd say we had a couple months of run rate before we could decide what we wanted to do with the company, and I kind of went all in and I said I'm going to go to this big event it was in Los Angeles, California, and I decided that I needed to go there because the type of clientele that we decided we want to focus on moving forward if we were going to build this company out of the ground, essentially, is we needed to just change the type of clientele that we were going to work with, and that's exactly what I did. Went all in, paid $30,000 to go be a part of this mastermind, to go to the event, when we probably shouldn't have been spending $30,000 at this point in time from the company. That decision changed the entire trajectory of our company. Some of the biggest mistakes that I learned from going through that entire situation was, number one, yes, be focused on bringing on clients, and number two, be focused on making sure that you're delivering those clients. I think that's a big mistake that a lot of agency owners and a lot of business owners, it doesn't matter if it's just building a digital agency. I think from front to back, any company has a very, very similar trajectory. But number two is making sure you are focusing on the fact that your clients are being communicated with, especially in our industry. A lot of the times people will sell a client, just completely forget about them, and then just kind of do what they need to do and not have a direct day-to-day communication. We kind of had 8 different communication channels. We were talking to some through email, some through Skype, some through Facebook Messenger, some through WhatsApp. There was some on I don't even know. There's so many different platforms we were talking to them that it got to a point where just literally we were forgetting some, remembering some, forgetting some, remembering some, and that's caused a lot of grief. What we ended up doing was we made a very, very conscious effort on focusing on communication with our clients, and today we house all of our clients from a professional perspective and easy for both of our clients and for us to be able to have it. Not only that, when I sell a client or someone on my sales team sells a client, they don't just get access to an account manager and a media buyer and forget about who kind of brought them on. They get access to every single person. And I think that big learning curve that we implemented into our business has been the key to why we have some of the clients that refer us the type of clients that we get to work with on a day-to-day basis. So the biggest thing that I like to tell most business owners, and whether it's digital marketing agencies, is you've got to start somewhere. And like I said earlier, I started with a client that was $500 to $750 a month, eventually became $2,000 a month. And then I realized what I knew. I figured out the early foundational stage mistakes that most businesses make, and started to realize that I needed to go up market because I knew I could deliver. I knew the results that I could bring to these clients. Now, what ended up happening was once I decided to go up market and go after a clientele that was a lot different than I was used to selling, the trajectory of my company completely changed. Now, what I want to do is I want to kind of tell you what this client did, because this client literally started to be one of the biggest clients. It was a multi-5-figure a month client for us. And from there, it just changed my mindset to how you can build a digital marketing career. Now, if you want to see how we got this client, what I did to fulfill the client, some crazy stories that came along with being with this client in good and bad ways, what I want you to do is I want you to hit the subscribe button. I want you to hit the like button. If you like this video, leave me a comment on what you learned from this entire video, and be ready for video number 2 in this entire thing, because I'm going to be breaking down exactly what I did to get my very first 5-figure a month client. So some of the biggest mistakes that I learned from building the company that I have today is not investing in myself as hard as I could have and going all in the earlier stages, not delegating and not automating as much as I should have been doing in the earlier stages as well. And number 3, not focusing on communication, because communication, in my opinion, in any business is going to go a long, long way. Even if you don't get a result for a client, but you communicate, a lot of the times the client understands because they know that you're working for them. Now, some of the perks that comes with running a multi-million-dollar agency, not only do you get to build an epic team and people that you want to hang around every single day, you get to travel the world. Fortunately enough, outside of 2020, last year I got to travel an absolute ton. The year before I got to travel an absolute ton. Get to mastermind and network with people that I used to learn and look up to when I was in the early stages of my career. Some of them are clients today that pay us a lot of money. And as well, on the other side, that I can say is it's completely life-changing. Everybody's got a different reason and a different value to what a business can bring to them. For me, it was being able to travel the world and do what I want when I want with my close friends and family. And I have fortunately been able to do that. So I know the early stages of a lot of businesses that you're probably sitting there thinking, I want that lifestyle. Go through the pains, go through the trials, go through the tribulations, or hire someone or learn from someone that has gone through it, or just watch videos like this, because people can help expedite that for you. Because at the end of it, the life that's waiting there for you is 100% worth it.